So what actually is the cost of not taking action and licensing your content now? I'm continuing. This is part 2 of a video I recently did about the cost of not licensing. And this is an extension of a conversation I had with a new friend. We were out to dinner together and she asked me, she said, this is so valuable. I really want to do it, but I'm really busy. I have all these other things going on. And she said, what is the cost? What is it actually costing me to not start licensing now? And so here you have it. In this video, I'm going to break down the exact costs and the exact numbers, and I'm even going to break down the numbers based on different prices of your current products, your current coaching services, your current courses, workshops, whatever it is that you do. I'm going to break down the numbers and we're going to average out how much if you continue to sell it B2B and how much you're actually burning, leaving on the table, not making at all if you don't move into licensing right now. So if you're new here, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. All of the content that I put out here is for you to level up your licensing, your business scaling strategy, IQ, your success, and positioning you to expand the reach of your work and make more money doing what you love. So let's go ahead and dive into this video. Okay, as I said, I'm continuing our conversation on why you should be licensing right now. As I mentioned before, and you might have heard me say this, I talk to a lot of people that want to quote unquote get into licensing, but they're planning it for later down the road. They're planning it for next year. It's like this big goal, but it isn't really something that they realize why they may need to do it now. Why now is the time to take action. So in the last video I did about the cost of not licensing, we broke down the time. I broke down exactly how much time you're currently spending in your current business model and what that's costing you, honestly, for life and for actually costs as well. And forward thinking about what you want to be doing in the future. This video is all about money. It's all about profit. It's all about how much money you're spending that if you moved into licensing, your costs would actually decrease. And it's about how much money you could be making. And I'm going to get really nitty gritty into the numbers here for you. I'm going to provide notes included in here. So if you're a visual person, you want to come back. And in this process, my goal is for you to see honestly, how simple licensing is and how much it's costing you to not take action moving forward. So first of all, let's talk about your operational costs. One of the important things to know is with licensing, your operational costs in time really decrease. We broke down those numbers and that concept in the last video. In this one, I want you to really think about the numbers and how much you are spending. So let's first look at your marketing spend. On average, businesses in the first couple of years can spend up to 24% in marketing. That's pretty hefty. It's actually a lot of money to spend on marketing. But the reality is if you're a newer business, it can be 18 to 24%. If you're an established business, then that percentage, we want to get it down like to as low as 8% even. It really depends on your industry and actually what it is that you're selling. But crunching those numbers specifically, let's kind of break out some scenarios. So let's say your average marketing budget you have $1 million business. And your marketing budget is 15%. So we're not saying that you're a brand new business where you're spending a lot of money, but maybe you aren't super duper well established in your space. On average, you're spending $150,000 this year alone to market your business, to get it in front of that consumer. Because with that B2C model, with the direct sales to consumers, you constantly have to be in front of them. It costs a lot of time. It costs a lot of money to continue to keep your product in the front of mind because people need to buy directly from you. And if your business isn't making that much money, let's say you aren't generating $1 million in revenue, let's cut that in half. Let's say you have a $500,000 business, you're grossing $500,000 a year. And let's say you're spending 12%, not even 15%, but 12% on marketing of some capacity. This year alone, you're going to spend $60,000 to get your business out in front of your consumer. And these are numbers. They don't lie. This is what's important to spend when you are selling direct to consumer. So when we move you into licensing, Because you are no longer selling direct to consumer, the amount of money that you will spend and your heavy lifting to actually sell to companies looks completely different. And tap into other videos I have for you here about how we market licensing offers. But we don't need fancy, intricate funnels. We don't run Instagram ads that are going out to hundreds and thousands of people. What you know about the heavy lifting and costs of ad spend and online marketing is totally irrelevant when we move into licensing. So we're saving you a lot of money because how we sell license programs doesn't require that heavy ad spend, that heavy marketing budget for selling direct to consumer. So that's the first thing I want you to realize. The second thing I want to talk about is your actual team and your operational costs and your salary. So on average, for a consulting business, you're probably spending around 50 to 60% of your revenue on your team, whatever that looks like. And so let's have a conversation about who's on your team. All right. So when we're thinking about team, this could include, based on this current way that you are right now delivering your services, you could be paying other coaches and consultants to support you and have leaders and team members. You could be paying support staff like a client concierge to make sure everybody is winning and happy. You could have tech support, and you could have people that are building your funnels and making sure that, you know, your CRM is talking to your online course funnel and everything's working correctly and your opt-ins are working correctly and smoothly. You also are probably spending money on sales and lead generation, even separately from the actual marketing that we talked about, although this could be fit into that dollar amount as well. Are you paying people to cold call or send emails? Are you paying people to run your sales initial like triage calls for you to vet people to come into your program? That could be another cost. And so as I'm going through these, I would love for you to be thinking, yep, I'm paying for that. Yep, I'm paying for that. And if you're like a quick money thinker, you may already know, oh, I'm paying this person $30,000. I'm paying this person $80,000. And you may be able to start chalking up actually how much you're spending. So let's talk about some other things that you're probably paying for right now in a traditional consulting, subject matter expert, coaching type of a business model. You'll have graphic designers. You could have marketing engagement managers. So if somebody is doing sell by chat, or if somebody is responding to, your LinkedIn DMs or responding as you on LinkedIn, whatever that looks like, are you paying for somebody to constantly engage with your audience? So again, you stay on the forefront because people are buying directly from you. You could have an editor. You could also have a producer of some kind, producing your video, producing your podcast. And of course, you could also be paying for a copywriter. These are all really common, honestly, great roles to fill in a scaling business with the right people. When we talk about this, it means that you're probably spending half of your revenue to fill in these roles. But again, when we move over, and just stay with me here, when you are no longer the one having to sell directly to consumers, number one, and having to manage all of the delivery, think of all of those things. Just which ones could you write off? Which could you scratch off? I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. So when we move into licensing, we're just talking about the cost of what you're spending already right now. There's going to be an immediate cost saving because of the nature of the business model of licensing, in that with delivering it to companies for them to directly sell or deliver internally to their teams and for them to manage the actual delivery process, you don't have to do that anymore. We've taken that totally off your plate. Your life looks completely different. Okay, let me tell you a really quick story. And it's a really funny story, but I actually have a client and we license her programs. And when we licensed her programs, she literally came back to me. She's like, I don't know what to do now. I don't know what to do with my time. Certainly it didn't take her long to figure out what she wanted to do in this next level of her life. But she had this moment where she's like, wow, all of these things I've paid for, all of these things I've done, all of these people I've needed to manage, like herding cats and whatever, that was. She's like, I no longer have to do any of this. And it's actually so simple. And I want to let you know that that is not a unique story. That's very, very common with licensing. Now, again, if you're here and you still want to sell your services B2C, awesome. More power to you. And I've shared this multiple times that most of our clients have that B2C model and the licensing model. They have the direct sales, the direct delivery, with some of their content they're doing still. And we've extracted some of their content and their materials for licensing. What I want you to gather here is two things. Number one, that doesn't cost you as much money to run, and that doesn't cost you as much time to run. So please be mindful of that. All right? Okay, let's move into the actual sales and the numbers. And I have this broken down for you based on some average prices that most coaches and consultants charge for your content. So let's start with a mini offer. Let's say you have a mini offer that is $99. And I'm going to run this scenario for you. And these aren't, by the way, let me preface this. When I give you the average licensing dollar, I am not telling you that that is the exact price. Do not take me in this video saying, if I have a mini offer for this amount and I should be selling it for this amount licensing. That is not what I'm saying. There are many other steps that go into determining your license price, including industry, operational costs, value, the format in which it's delivered, the model in which it's delivered, branding. There's so many other things. So I have to say that because I've gotten a lot of comments from many of you guys that are like, oh my gosh, your YouTube videos are so good, or your content, your podcast is so good. I've just started to run with it, and they end up in a lot of trouble because they're not seeing the whole picture. So I'm giving you these costs for examples so that you can see an average of what licensing can do for you. Okay, promise? Like pinky swear, whatever that is. Okay, I almost did like Scout's honor, but I have never been a Scout. Okay, so now let's break this down. Okay, let's say you have a $99 mini training, okay? And we're gonna sell it 10 times a year, right? You're gonna make $999, okay? So in every scenario I'm giving you, I'm gonna give you the business to consumer price. We're only gonna do 10 sales a year. In every scenario I'm breaking down, it's only 10 sales a year, okay? So you don't have to get scared and think this isn't for me because it's only 10 sales a year. And then I'm going to give you the licensing price. So $99 mini training, that's what you have. You currently sell it for $99. You sell it 10 times a year as you are right now, you're going to make $990. Okay. We take that same mini training and the licensing price for that is $5,000. The same exact training that you already have. And the licensing price hypothetically is $5,000. And then we sell it 10 times. You're going to make $50,000 off your mini training. So you can either sell it for $99 to an individual 10 times for $1,000, or you can sell it 10 times licensing format to companies for $50,000. So just sit on that for a minute. That is a huge difference. And the nature of why we can charge more for licensing falls into licensing calculators and strategy, and frankly, how valuable your content is to the licensee. Okay, so that's a $99 scenario here. Now let's go to like a level 2 offer. Let's say your training or your course or your workshop or whatever your product is that you do is $1,000. Okay, sell it 10 times a year. You're going to make $10,000. Yay. Okay. Don't forget, within that $10,000, you have your marketing expenses, you have your team expenses, you have your ad expenses. We're not even that would be like a lot of that 10K gone, right? Now, let's take that same program that's $1,000 and let's say the licensing price, which by the way is really a low licensing price, is $15,000. We're going to take a $1,000 program. Hypothetically, we're going to license it for $15,000. Also, just 10 times a year. It's $150,000. So you can sell that same program direct to consumer and make 10K, or you can sell that same program in a licensing model and make 150K. See the difference in this? We're not changing the product. Hear me out. We're not changing the product. We're changing the buyer. That's the most important thing that I want you to remember. So I'm not changing my product. I'm changing my buyer. Okay? So already, hopefully you can see and you can identify, hey, I have a $99 thing or I have a $1,000 thing. And now let's go a little bit higher. Let's say your program is $3,000, which is also a very common price for consulting programs, right? People are commonly spending $3,000 to $5,000 on really great consulting programs or workshops they know that are going to get them results. So we have your $3,000 program, you're selling it 10 times a year, you're grossing $30,000 minus all of those marketing and operational costs. Now, I want you to listen to me. Now we're going to sell that same $3,000 program in a licensing format with the correct licensing model for $50,000. Not far-fetched. I want you to hear me. The average licensing sale for my clients is $56,000. That's usually their average first licensing sale. My clients license their materials from all the way down to $5,000, all the way up over $1 million. We don't change the product, we change the buyer. Okay? So let's break this down. You have a $3,000 program, you sell it 10 times a year, it's $30,000. That same program, we license it for $50,000, sell it 10 times a year, you're making $500,000. So you can choose to stay selling things B2C with all the funnels and all the marketing and all the heavy lifting and all of the time that you spend making your videos and your reels and your live events and all the things that you do. Or you can take the same product and you can license it. And let's say a hypothetical licensing value of it after it's correctly formatted and packaged is 50 grand. It's $500,000 for the same thing. Would you rather? This is like one of those would you rather games. Would you rather spend your time doing things the way that they've been done? Or would you rather spend your time making more money and actually less time selling content you've already created? You're the only one that can answer that. And it's okay to start small. And let's kind of speak to that. I think there is a little bit of imposter syndrome for many of our clients when they're like, "Hi, I mean, how can I sell? I've only sold a program for $1,200. How can I turn around now and say that I'm going to license it for $100,000 even?" And I understand that. But the reason why you're stuck there is because you don't understand how simple licensing is, and you don't frankly have access to a licensing plan. You don't know what you don't know. That's the reason why you kind of feel stuck in that space. If you are sitting here going, "This isn't for me, I don't think I can do this," it's just because you haven't yet had the world of licensing opened up to you and you haven't been actually given the plan in a step-by-step process to do this successfully, which of course, shameless plug, is exactly what we have and exactly what we give to all of our clients. It's our step-by-step licensing project plan. So I understand why you might be in this space because you just might be unaware of how to go about it. But right now, just take a second and just sit with the numbers. Right now, the goal of me creating this training is for you to identify, wow, I can sell the same program to a different buyer for a whole lot more with a whole lot less time and heavy lifting. So those are the things that's my goal, is for you to listen to this training and to own that for yourself and realize that it is absolutely possible for you. Don't get your head all stuck in the ins and outs and, the what if this and what if that and how to do this. Just sit here with me for a second. A $3,000 program, selling it 10 times, you can make $30,000. That same $3,000 program, licensing it 10 times, you could make $500,000. Your $99 mini course, you can sell it 10 times and make $1,000. That same program, you can sell it 10 times and make $10,000. It's totally up to you. And so that's why I wanted to kind of dive in and break down the numbers for you. So first of all, comment on this. If you're watching on YouTube, please comment on this. I would love to know the price of your program that you're thinking about licensing. You don't even have to tell me what program it is. Please keep that private to you. You and I, we would connect on that later. But you can just say, "Hey, it would be my course that right now I'm charging $500 for it," or whatever. And we can play with some of those numbers. So if you're watching this on YouTube, comment below. Let me know the average price of your program currently. And use some of these numbers, play with some of these numbers so that you can see what's possible. Very, very possible with licensing for you as well. And so one last thought for you here. You are sitting on content that's collecting dust. In the other video I did about the cost of not licensing, we broke down time. We broke down the actual amount of time it takes to create IP. It's a lot of time. And we also talked about the fact that you're going to continue to create these things because creators got to create. We're just solution solvers, right? I identify that you will continue to create new things. I'm creating new things all the time. I'm creating this training for you. But why not stop for a minute and identify the value of what you've already created for another business and realize that what you have already created, the time that you put into it, the thought, the testing that you have done in your market, the people that you've already delivered your processes to, it does not need to be a whole built out course. You don't even actually, by the way, please don't take the time to actually build things out if they aren't totally built yet in an LMS. That's a whole nother video that I have here for you that you can tap into understanding the reasons why. But I just want you to realize that your IP, the problems you've solved are valuable to other companies. The problems you've solved have taken time and wisdom and intelligence and genius and hours in the trenches to be able to have solved them. Your programs and solutions are only programs and solutions because they come from you. You have put in the hard work and the sweat equity to actually be able to deliver people results, companies results. That is very valuable to other companies. And so do not underestimate that. And I also want you to know that making more money is a tool to do more good, whatever that looks like. I'm not a money mindset coach in here, but I do come across a lot of businesses that just when we're talking about, $99 to $99,000, there's a block there. And so I want to remind you that money is a tool to do great things. God gave us money as a tool to do more good things, whatever you believe. Hopefully I didn't offend anybody. I'm just going to be the truth of who I am, right? And he gave you your wisdom to do really good things in the world. And so wherever you believe that comes from, it is a gift to you. And your gift is a gift to obviously other people because you've been doing it, but it's also a gift to other companies because they want to reach more people and help more people. And the fastest way you can expand the reach of your work is by allowing other companies to have access to it, because that's like you're this rock that's dropping in this pond, and just imagine all the ripple effects, and it's far greater reaching than you could ever do it on your own with all the marketing and ad spend in the world. If you're the one constantly selling it, the only one selling it, and you're the one that's constantly delivering it, the only one that's delivering it, it's only going to reach so far. So I hope you found this helpful. Again, this is a video on the cost of not licensing, part 2. Make sure you check out part 1, where we talked about the cost of not licensing and we broke down the time. Thank you so much for being here. Please share this training. If you are watching me on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Definitely comment below so that we can go back and forth on the cost of your product and so that you can see what's possible with the profit. And definitely take a minute, like your homework here is to identify what costs you currently have as far as marketing and operational costs, and realize that those diminish, if not fully disappear, when you move into a licensing model. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Check out the resources I have below. You guys have an awesome week, and I will talk to you in the next training. Bye-bye for now.